is to connect interested students at URI and CCRI with agencies, organizations, and companies across Rhode Island and build career paths and relationships that keep them here in Rhode Island. It's going to be a pipeline of talent for the environmental professionals and leaders for our future. The idea for this program actually has its roots in a meeting several of us had a couple of years ago at URI to discuss the challenges that state agencies were having in recruitment and URI's goal to provide more opportunities for experience and learning in a professional environment related to their majors and goals. The idea of a fellowship program was reinforced by discussions the DEM Equal Opportunity Advisory Council was having to build a stronger, more diverse group of candidates for positions that we have open here at DEM. And finally, the need for a strong pipeline of candidates for job opportunities in the private sector came up repeatedly during discussions we had with the Environmental Business Council and the Rhode Island Society of Environmental Professionals. So here we are. We have a partnership to build off the success URI has had with the Energy Fellowship Program and build a pipeline of talent for all aspects of our green economy, environmental management and environmental protection for the entire sector here in Rhode Island. Finally, I wanted to say when I refer to the green economy and the environmental business sector, I'm using a really broad definition that includes government, business, and advocacy organizations. And talent includes scientists, engineers, communication specialists, financial and management students, and others that are involved in our overall efforts related to the environment here in Rhode Island. That's our goal. We're really psyched to get going on this, and I think I'll turn it back over to Kate for some more details. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are equally excited. I'm Kate Hardesty. I'm sitting here at the University of Rhode Island. It's URI Day. So there's a lot of commotion outside my office here, which is really invigorating, and I'm happy to bring this opportunity to our students and also students at CCRI. We have two other speakers that we asked to join us to share a little bit about their experience as a mentor and also as a fellow. And so Shauna Beeland is here from the Rhode Island Office of Energy Resources. I've worked with Shauna for a long time, and in my mind, when I think about extension fellowship programs, she is a champion of the Energy Fellows program for helping us build a very strong partnership with the Office of Energy Resources to get students involved in policy work while they're still in school, and a really big percentage of them go on to find jobs. Every time I sign into LinkedIn, I'm blown away. So we asked Shauna to join us today just to share a little bit of perspective about her experience as a mentor working with students, and also the Office of Energy Resources experience as well. So Shauna, feel free to share. Thanks for being here with us. Take it away.
Kate, and thanks for that awesome introduction. I am going to try to share my screen here, see if I can get this in presentation mode. There we go. Can you guys see that see my screen?
It's good.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for having me. So I thought I'd share just my experience in being a mentor with this program for more than 10 years, actually. So just a brief history, a former OER commissioner, Marion Gold, actually used to be the head of the URI Outreach Center. And that was really the start of our journey together as a partner organization for the Energy Fellows program. Probably the most important aspect of what we do with the Energy Fellows program is providing a meaningful internship and a mentor experience, not only for the folks at OER who take on an intern or a fellow, but also to make sure that the experience the Energy Fellow has is a meaningful one, and that they learn about our office, the folks and what they do in our office. And we do try to make sure that they have fun. So we try to make sure that there's opportunities for field trips, for just even going on the roof of our building. That top picture there is the roof of the Department of Administration building. And you can see there's, well, you can't see, but there is solar on the roof. And then taking a picture in front of the State House from the roof is a pretty unique experience. So we do try to make sure that there's things like that. We also do try to take a trip to Block Island once a year as a group, just so they can see the offshore wind farm from a distance on the ferry. So experiences like that, I think, really are impactful and continue to be meaningful for both us and for them. Our success in this program, we've actually hired more than 8 energy fellows for either contractor or full-time roles. So this program we actually view as a pipeline for talent in our office. And they've gone on to do amazing things. So we've had 2 current employees, George and Abby are both Energy Fellow alumni. George is actually, I believe, the 2nd cohort of Energy Fellows from more than 15 years ago, actually, and he's been with the Energy Office ever since. And so just to get a flavor of some of the jobs that our Energy Fellows have gone on to hold after their internship or their fellowship with our office, I actually had a very enjoyable time going down a LinkedIn rabbit hole of finding out where everyone is. And some of these folks worked directly for me, or they've worked for other mentors at OER. I'll just highlight 2 people here that worked both as a contractor and then moved on from their contractor time at OER. One of those is Serena Russell, who's now a policy coordinator at Climate Jobs Rhode Island. She was hired after her energy fellowship on the communications team. And just recently, as of last month, she transitioned her time to working at Climate Jobs Rhode Island, which is a fantastic opportunity. But she actually did the Energy Fellows program twice. She worked at the Renewable Energy Fund and then at OER. So she had a lot of experience with the Energy Fellowship program before she moved on to work for Climate Jobs. So she brings a lot of talent and experience to the Climate Jobs team, and I'm so thrilled for her. The other person that I'll highlight here is Abby Hussenfuss, who works with me on the renewables team. She is the Chief of Program Development of the renewables team at OER. She was an Energy Fellow in 2019 and then was hired at OER just 2 years later. In 2020, she worked as an intern in our Clean Energy Internship program. So she actually took an internship opportunity in one of the programs that we run, the Clean Energy Internship program. And now she manages the Clean Energy Internship program. So she participated in the Energy Fellows program, our internship program, and now works at OER. So those are just 2 examples of some really talented people that went through the program, worked at OER, and then found fantastic positions after they graduated. So I'll just end by saying my favorite day of the year is the presentation day. I love going to URI in December and seeing all of the Energy Fellows give their final presentations. I'm lucky enough to interview these students, so I get to see them at the very beginning of their fellowship, and then seeing them that day and how much they've grown over the course of a year is just, I feel like a proud mama bear. Like, it's just a really fulfilling day for me, and being able to see them present and then just get in one really, really tough question during the presentation. So with that, I'll end. I'll just throw my contact information up here. If anybody is interested in learning more about OER's experience with the fellowship program, feel free to reach out. It's one of my favorite topics to talk about. I actually was at a career fair yesterday and I was talking up the fellowship program. So I get to do it a lot and look forward to continue to do it more. So thanks for having me.
Oh, that was perfect. Thank you, Shauna. And folks, we will open things up for questions after everybody speaks. So write your questions down if you have any tough ones for Shauna. She likes to ask tough ones of our students. So let's give it back to her. Thank you, Shauna. That was wonderful. So the next person we'd love to hear from. Actually, some of you on the call may know because Georgia Young is not only a student in the MESM program, which I'll let her spell out for you, but she was also an Energy Fellow in 2024 with EC4 at DEM. And I've enjoyed getting to know Georgia. And so I'll let her introduce herself and also share a little bit about her experience and what that's opened doors to at this point. Georgia, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here.
Sure. Thanks, Kate. Hi, everybody. Like Kate said, I see a lot of my colleagues from last year and at least one or two of my professors. Hello to all of you. So my name is Georgia Young. I live up in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, and I'm a lifelong New Englander. And I am graduating from URI's Masters of Environmental Science and Management program in about 2 weeks. I am focusing in environmental communication, but I'm also actually a graduate of CCRI. Right before I entered this program, I did an associate's in science through CCRI. So I was really on a big education journey the last couple of years at two of our amazing state institutions. And last year, I was looking for opportunities to augment my professional training through the MESM program. And I saw the URI Energy Fellows program and decided to apply for it. And I was placed with the climate policy team in the Department of Environmental Management's office. So I've worked with Terry, I think Liz Stone is here, Chris Gaynor, David McLaughlin, a bunch of people. I got to work with all of these people to some extent last year. And I want to say that it was a huge compliment to my studies in this graduate program. And, you know, I got to know a couple dozen other folks, graduate and undergraduate, in my cohort. I think that a couple of the strengths of the program, in addition to working in a professional environment and just diving headfirst into learning a brand new industry, was the way our cohort comes together and learns throughout the 12 months of the year. It's really, really incredible to see both how I, even as a graduate student, was able to grow and how many of all of the people in my cohort grew. So we do 2 semesters of coursework during the year of the program, and that involves a lot of working on professional skills that really play directly into the work you're doing day to day in your office. Both, you know, in addition to learning all of the science that we work on, there's a lot of skill building that I think is harder to find in a higher ed experience. That's what makes it such a great augmentation. So we worked on our elevator pitch for who we are and what we do, how to walk into an interview and really sell ourselves, how to write a resume, how to do a job search, but also how to negotiate different kinds of challenges in the workplace, how to understand workplace dynamics. And I saw really a massive, massive growth in confidence in public speaking. I want to echo what Shauna said, that presentation day was really amazing to watch after meeting everyone, you know, 10 or 11 months before, and just to see how much more confidence everyone in the program built. And I really love personally that it gave me an incredible overview of the landscape of the energy community in Rhode Island. I do have a special interest in climate change and in energy from that point of view, but I learned how our energy system in the state works, which is something I don't think I could have done as easily just through classwork. We went to ISO New England, that, like I think Shauna said, there are a lot of summer trips. We went to ISO New England, we went to Manchester Street Station, we went to one of the substations in Rhode Island and really learned the challenges that all of the different aspects of the energy industry face and the opportunities that we're looking at over the next couple of decades. So it really opened my eyes to the different possibilities that there were out for me in this industry in Rhode Island, which is where I'd like to continue to stay. And I know that's the truth for many of my friends and classmates in my cohort as well. Let me see what else I can say. I think that's a lot of what I have to say, and I'm happy to answer questions from my perspective once we open it up to everyone.
Oh, so perfect,
Great.
Georgia. Thank you, thank you. It's really valuable. Obviously, it's music to my ears, and Sejal and Kevin, who are here, we work really hard to make sure these experiences are unique and fruitful if we can help with that. And so it's really wonderful to hear from Georgia. And I can tell you that I was saying before we started the call, I'm going to bring my slides up now. Anytime I go on LinkedIn, it's either thank you, Kate, or I got a new job, and it's just one of the best parts of the job. And so we've got some great branded artwork here to promote the program. I just want to thank Terry and Amanda, who's here from DEM, and all of you for considering participating in this opportunity. I'm going to talk about the nuts and bolts, kind of our approach to workforce development through cooperative extension, and then we'll open it up to questions. So again, my name is Kate Hardesty. I've been actually working at URI since I was an undergraduate. I started here in May of 20. Oh, wait, I can't even say that. May of 2005, which was 20 years ago in 2 weeks. And I'm really honored to work here with a lot of really bright people who care a lot about the world we live in. And I work with some exceptional folks in cooperative extension, which, for those of you who are not familiar with what we do, we are the part of the land grant institution of which URI is in Rhode Island that's responsible for providing access to science to all people who live here. So even if you can't come to URI or Rhode Island College or CCRI or one of the private institutions, we are here to make sure that folks have research-based information to bring back to their communities. And so back in 2008, when Mary and my former boss started the Energy Fellows program, the vision was slightly different. It was focused more on providing opportunities for research, experiential learning and research for students. But as I got more involved and got more familiar with the program and saw what students were doing, it struck me as a really hardcore extension proponent that the model we use to engage communities and engage people in difficult conversations would be a really great way to engage students so that they can learn to lead those conversations. And so we have an Energy Fellows program where we do that, as Shauna talked about in Georgia. We also have a newer fellowship program called the Agriculture and Food Systems Fellows Program, and many folks at DEM have partnered with us to provide opportunities for students in that realm. And that's funded currently by a USDA grant. And so recently, when we had these conversations about workforce needs in the environmental management space, I was really thrilled to use a really successful model and build this. And so I'm going to kind of be at 30,000 feet for a second because I think this is important. Our approach to workforce development is partly what we've observed as science communicators, and also kind of what we see in students. And that is that critical issues like climate resilience or mitigation, energy, our food system, those things require an interdisciplinary collaboration, and also strong communication and critical thinking skills. As someone who works with scientists and engineers, I can say that we all have our strengths, and sometimes communication is not a strength that's shared across the board when you're working in an interdisciplinary team. So one of the things that we do is we focus on the importance of this transdisciplinary approach. There's a lot of different names. Some people call it the convergence model, where we recognize that even if you're an engineer, you really have to understand policy. You have to be able to talk to the people who are reading the plans you stamp. You need to be able to explain your work in public settings if you need permits, or and there are a million examples of this situation in the professional world. And so we recognize that academic programs tend to be disciplinary in nature or sometimes multidisciplinary. We're layering on top of that with these fellowship programs other experiences that we curate for the students, so that they kind of develop a different way of thinking about problem solving. And I won't belabor you with the lesson I give on logic models today, but our students, and Georgia, give me a nod if you're comfortable with logic modeling at this point. We teach our students to see the big picture. What is the outcome the work you're doing is seeking to achieve? Not who did you get coffee for, or what plan are you working on today, but really the big picture. And that allows them to make carrot cake out of carrots. And I'm a visual person, so I appreciated this little sketch from a grad student across the country. But again, the point I'm making here is that all of our students come from across the university. So Terry shared that, we need economists, we need business administration experts. We need natural scientists and engineers. We all have to be able to work together. One of the things this fellowship program will do is establish a baseline for everyone who's looking to work in this space. And we do that with this model. So I'll go through this fairly quickly so we have enough time for questions, but basically this is a year-long experience. It's not summer only. So the students who apply understand that they are joining, our family in extension here for a period that's actually longer than a year, because they interview in October. The year before. So in the spring, when the program starts, calendar year in January, the students kind of focus on professional skills and leadership. So they actually take a 3-credit asynchronous class that they get academic credit for. We force them to get uncomfortable and speak in front of each other, and that is really effective. And as everybody who spoke earlier alluded to, the transformation that happens is pretty incredible. Students can begin working during the spring semester. Usually we encourage that to happen around March 1st, but it really depends on the mentor. And then in the summertime, we really focus on networking and also understanding the industry. So in this case, we're going to build a summer industry training that focuses on all the components of the environmental management, resource, management realm, climate resilience, that we think students should be exposed to. And we'll do that in conversations with all of you on this call, I hope, who will actually tell us what you believe students need to learn about. And we'll curate a schedule. It's a once-a-week schedule for students to travel around. They'll probably have a lecture from Director Gray. They will hopefully go out and see some of the infrastructure at the Narragansett Bay Commission. We really try to make it fun, like Shauna said. They'll hear micro lectures from folks, and they'll also do the bulk of their 500 hours with their internship placement during that time. And finally, in the fall, we focus on presentation skills and kind of operationalizing everything they've learned. They participate in a hands-on practicum. That's come in many forms for both the Ag and Food Systems Fellows Program and also the Energy Fellows. Sometimes they participate in wind turbine blade design competitions with high school students that's run through KidWind and WinWind RI. Other times they're doing service learning at the food bank or with Hope's Harvest on the ag side. We really curate that and make sure that it's an opportunity for the students to kind of practice what we've taught them. And then, as Shauna mentioned, in December, they give a really scary presentation in front of a lot of important people who drill them with tough questions. And I am in the front row with tears in my eyes almost every time because these kids who come in, you know, with visibly uncomfortable and nervous just kind of blossom into young people who are ready to tackle some of these really difficult issues we're all dealing with in our work. So that's kind of how it operates in a nutshell. This information is going to be available to everyone, but for those of you who are so excited to learn more about the program, this is kind of when the important deadlines are. So if you're interested in becoming a mentor, and I'll outline what that really means in a moment, September 12th is when we need to know you'd like to be on our roster. And we have an expression of interest form that kind of teases out what type of work you might want to work with a student on. Students have to apply by October 24th, about halfway through the semester here in the fall. And we try to confirm after a series of interviews and a massive matchmaking process all the placements for the following year by December 19th. So everyone goes away for the holidays and the new year feeling good. I can relax a little bit. Sejal and Kevin can relax. And then the end of January is when the semester starts and the fellowship year starts. Between, I said March 1st, February 21st, somewhere around there, all the way through to December is when the students complete their hours. So they can really dig in. We don't want them fetching coffee and doing filing. We want them working on a meaningful project like Georgia talked about, so that they're ready to talk about the work that your organization does as a member of your team in December. So last couple slides here, there's a lot going on here, but we see our role here at the university as I've really been told I've missed my calling as a matchmaker, because what we do is basically we listen to, the public sector, decision makers, industry professionals, advocates, NGOs, everyone who's kind of in the space about what they're looking for, the types of projects they'd like to engage students on, what kinds of incumbent skills those students might have, or maybe they don't have a preference. We go out and do targeted recruitment within both institutions, so URI and CCRI, and I have some colleagues from CCRI on the call here. Thanks for being here, guys. We provide program management services. We advise and coach the students directly throughout the year. I've just had 2 pop in to tell me they were picking up their graduation cords, and we had a quick hug. We provide support to mentors around project design, targeted student recruitment, as I mentioned. We do the initial interviews, so we will send our mentors just a student or 2 to consider. So we take that work off of your plate, and we're good at it. So we make those matches, we lead the course they take, we lead the summer industry training. So really is a partnership. On the mentor side, we ask that our mentors identify a project or an activity with a very clear scope of work, and it can change because that's what happens in the real world. But we just ask that the students are clear on the team they're part of, who their direct report is, and really understand the gist of what you're going to be having them work on. the funding component of this, I'm not going to go into depth for because it's going to be different depending on who you're here representing. But generally, we're going to, our mentors secure funding to actually pay the students hourly. We have suggested rates. We can share that information. And there will be a program fee in the future. We ask that you provide support to the student for the duration of their fellowship and allow them to attend the events we curate and maintain contact with us so we know how everything's going. That's all you have to do. So when you do that, we have students like this who participate in experiences like going out on an oyster boat to an oyster farm in one of our coastal ponds, gleaning with Hope's Harvest, seeing our kids farm in Exeter where they have dual use energy and food production going on, visiting substations, which the students love. I didn't anticipate that. This is a picture of one of our come together trainings. Georgia's sitting there. Here she is. And here's Sajal, my colleague. This is the Energy and Ag and Food Systems Fellows Cohort 2024. It's a big, beautiful group. They are all studying different things. They all come from different life experience, and they're all very kind. And this is part of what Georgia alluded to. There's a lot of learning that happens just by getting this group together. And we do these come-togethers with all of the fellowships because this transdisciplinary approach that we use, this is where the magic's happening. So the outcome, and I couldn't possibly include all of the students on LinkedIn. I kind of got overwhelmed, honestly, when I started to do this. But, I'm floored every time I sign in. This is Mike Savage. We have Lexi Zabo behind here. She's working at Leidos. Mary Colbert's at Orsted. Davina Thakur's also at Orsted. We have students at OER. We have students at DEM, CRMC, coming and going, Department of Health. So the last thing I'll say is the things we'd love for you to consider are serving as a mentor in 2026, which is our inaugural year. If you can't do that, we're going to be looking for summer industry training sites for 2026. That is an industry-led component of this. We don't make up this stuff. We need input. So thank you in advance for sharing your ideas for site visits or micro lectures or leadership activities. You can also sponsor the program and provide opportunities for students who might not be able to take advantage of it, or for mentor organizations, maybe startups or other things. So I will stop talking. This is my contact information here. The website is there, and I will stop sharing and we can look to the chat for questions. So we encourage folks to enter questions in the chat. And Amanda, if you don't mind helping me with that, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Any questions for any of our panelists today, or comments? How many are ready to sign up to be a mentor organization?
Did I check outside my door and see if anyone's lined up? It's possible. Hi, Dr. Still.
So Dr. Still mentions, excited to hear about this new partnership from DEM, URI, and CCRI. I'm wondering if this will be rolled out with opportunities for both undergraduate and graduate students to participate. The answer is yes.
Yeah, I'll take that. And then Terry, if you want to chime in. I mean, from my perspective, in the kind of the conversations I've had, there's a new major at CCRI in environment sustainability. And also there's kind of a need for entry to mid-level professionals. And so in this kind of inaugural space, we are planning to focus on CCRI students and undergraduates at URI. I have seen graduate students do beautiful things, but the opportunities here, when we're looking at workforce needs, seem to be in, associates and bachelor's level. Terry, I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, Kate, I would agree. I think from a DEM perspective, we're looking to build that pipeline of candidates. So we're primarily focused on the associate and bachelor's degree candidates getting ready to graduate in a lot of ways. And remember, DEM's got a pretty broad scope of responsibility. Everything from parks and beaches to fish and wildlife to agriculture to environmental protection. So we have lots of opportunities here. Um, and like I said, including things in communications, IT systems, and financial management. So there's a lot that goes into running an organization this size, and we have lots of opportunities. But they're all connected to our mission, and I think that's important.
Thank you. And of course, there's opportunities for other external organizations to host mentors as well. So any other questions from the group? Feel free to put it in the chat. So so the big takeaway, Kate, is that they need to submit their placement by which date?
September. Let me go back. This should be at top of mind. Let's see. September 12th. So the link that Sejal put in the chat brings you to a form that you can fill out, and it kind of gets folks to start thinking about, what part of the portfolio you could see students working on, asks about incumbent skills that the students should have. I can say that in the energy fellows program in particular, because the nature of some of the work that the students do is engineering related or data analysis or management, our computer science students or students who are learning coding languages, or students who working with programs that I know by name, but I have no idea what they do. Sometimes you need that, and that's okay. And we can do targeted recruitment for students with those skills. Sometimes we've had a lot of success with just, you want to kind of bring someone on who thinks about your work in a totally different way. I'll find you a psychology student. We've had some really interesting matchups, and I can't stress enough how successful students who may be on an engineering track end up being, because they're the ones who walk into an interview and are making eye contact confidently, wrote an amazing cover letter, and can say that they did environmental justice work through a practicum session while they were in college. I mean, it's just, the students are very well rounded, and so we want to bring that talent pipeline to this sector. So anything's game.
I'll just add, Kate, that I know a lot of students that are my son's age that are they're really struggling right now because they don't have that experience. And even though they have a degree, they're still trying to get their foot in the door. And internships, fellowships provide real life professional experience that opens those doors for candidates. And from an agency perspective, this is an excellent opportunity for us to get to know a candidate for a whole year, really, before they really have to commit to an application and a full-time position. And it gives the candidate a chance to get to know us too. And when you have that win-win match, that's going to make for a successful professional relationship. And I think that's what we're looking for here.
Shauna, you could speak to that. Sorry, Amanda. Shauna, just a little, do you want to speak about the onboarding process and
Sure.
lightened load maybe? Or not? Yeah.
Well, one thing that I don't think we talk about enough is when students are placed at the Office of Energy Resources, they have a year of state service behind them. So when they do potentially apply for a full-time position, they're actually starting at a higher step, which, is for somebody in their early career is pretty exciting for them because they're not starting right at the bottom of the ladder. Just the overall onboarding experience, though, sometimes, they do have to go, at least in our case, through OER, they have to go through the state HR process, and that adds a couple of layers to the process. So stressing patients about the extended timeline right up front is really important for us to make sure that they know that it could take a little bit more time and that they'll have to go through a separate application process through the state. So.
There's another question in the chat. I'm wondering if there is room for potential mentors that cannot provide the stipend or only part of it.
Good question, Dr. Boving. So I think the next step for us is kind of talking through creative ways that we can utilize the resources we have now to make that a reality for, to be inclusive in who we engage as mentors. We have experience now. The Energy Fellows program operates, I say in a loving way, on the backs of our mentor organizations. The mentors pay the students and they pay the program a fee. And, in exchange, they get all of those services I talked about that URI provides. And that's the way we're able to run the program. In the case of the Ag and Food Systems Fellows Program, we have a 5-year grant that we wrote to fund that effort, but it will end at the end of next year. And so we've already started to kind of embed this expectation with mentors who, were able to have students covered by a large grant that we received. And so, I think there are resources in the state system, the Governor Workforce Board. Somebody mentioned a couple, and I don't have my notes in front of me, but there are resources for especially businesses to apply to through Commerce Rhode Island and other places where some of the costs for doing this type of thing can be reduced. And so we provide that information to folks. So I'm not going to make any promises at the moment, but that's something I think we're going to discuss here as we move into launching this. So stay tuned.
Any other questions? So I just wanted to add too, as Chief of Staff at DEM, I've really thought about and built different programs for recruitment and to build pipelines into the department. And one of the biggest takeaways I see with any program or effort to bring in talent is, you get a new sense of energy. A lot of students and individuals who are coming into the department bring new skills, new perspectives, and you can't really quantify that, but it really adds like a whole new layer to the work and the dynamic. So while this is a benefit, I think in many ways to the participants as mentees and the wraparound benefits, it's really a benefit to the organization as well for such a low cost. When you think about the cost of an FTE or the cost of not hiring someone you don't really know that well, we're talking about a small investment for an opportunity to engage a candidate, to support them, and then potentially bring them into our organization. So I think it's a win-win all around. And I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, that's a good point. The what students are able to do is astounding at times. And the thing I'm realizing as I get on in my years is, despite my best attempts to stay current with different technology, students for the office that I'm responsible for here at the university are our best resource for, tech, IT stuff. And so if, I guess one thing I could also share is if you have something on your potpourri list that you're just not getting to, maybe something in your not urgent but important category for your job, students can be a really great resource for getting some of that done. Writing SOPs or, whatever it may be. And there are students who love doing that kind of thing, believe it or not. So think creatively.
Right. Don't see any more questions. just want to thank everyone. Thank the panelists, Kate and Terry, Shauna and Georgia. Appreciate the comments. And if you have any questions, we can drop the contact information. You can find Kate if you have specific programmatic questions. Shauna offered her resource. So please follow up, and especially to our DM colleagues, we'll be following up with you separately to talk about opportunities here at DEM.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Georgia and Shauna. Appreciate it. Talk soon, Terry and Amanda. Thanks, Sage and Kevin.